Thanks for tuning in to Discover Stories on Reimagine Radio. Before we get started, here's a word from our sponsor.
Do you wish you had a voice in making some of the world's most popular websites more accessible? Fable is recruiting a community of paid assistive technology users who work from home to test websites and provide feedback on how they can be improved. We're currently recruiting testers who use Dragon, voice control, eye tracking, switch controls, and head mice. No resume, no cover letter, and no experience with user testing is required. Learn more and apply at www.makeitfable.com/community.
Is there a specific story that you have of like a standout moment that you would like to share from, a session or two?
Well, more so not a specific session, but just an overarching progress that I saw in one of my clients years ago. He was diagnosed with autism when he was about 2 years old, and he came into the music therapy studio, into one of our studios with ET Music Therapy. We have a studio in North Vancouver. We have a studio in Richmond. We go into schools. We work with high-risk youth. We go into group homes. We're all over the place, but we do have 2 actual studio locations here in the Lower Mainland. And when he walked through the door when he was 2.5, he just was screaming, pretty much just screaming all the time, very anxious, very dysregulated. And the only thing that really calmed him down was the drum. And we have this drum that is about 4 feet long, and it's kind of one of those tone drums, like a slit drum, where you've got like 4 to 8 different tones that kind of look like diving boards from a swimming pool, and you hit the different tones. And this particular tone drum that we have, you can turn on its side and have the individual lie on top of the drum, and then the therapist is playing the side of the drum. So you get all of this deep vibrational input into the body, and that really helps kind of calm them because they're getting all this proprioceptive input. So this awareness of feeling their joints and body in space, and it really helped him self-regulate. And for probably the first, at least 3 to 6 months, he would come through the door, dysregulated, screaming his head off, and run straight towards the drum and lie down. And that was the only thing that worked. And I would play while he was lying down on the drum for almost the entire hour.
Wow.
And he would just you could almost see his anxiety and his body and his muscle tension just melt away. And by the end of the session, he was really calm, engaged, was looking at me, was vocalizing along with the music. He was nonverbal at that point. And through the years, he started to be more receptive to different music experiences where we could engage together, we could vocalize. He began to speak. And now he's a very regular speaker. He can talk, he can hold conversations with you. He's mostly regulated. And believe it or not, he still comes and does music therapy. He's 20 now.
Oh, wow.
And now, again, kind of going back to this whole music therapy works on the process, not on a product, whereas music education works more on a product. However, we've actually evolved into that side of things. So now his sessions are mostly guitar lessons.
Oh, cool.
They're adapted guitar lessons. So he's learning how to play the guitar. He's learning how to sing his favorite songs. And it's a really beautiful journey to have been honored to be a part of, to see this evolution from a little boy who could not even relate or engage in any environment, to somebody who can, come to our sessions independently,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
who can, walk around the community independently and goes and does work at different establishments and helps out and has more independence and more skills of self-worth.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that must be very encouraging as well for you. To every new client who comes in, you can say, "Who knows where this is gonna go, and how much good we can do in this situation." So that's very cool.
Yeah, every individual is different, right? Even if you're
Mm-hmm.
working with kids with autism, every single person is different.
Yeah,
And so
totally.
every person is a challenge to see what's going to work for them, what their jam is,
Mm-hmm.
and how you can help best support them in where they want to go and where their potential is.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I work at a school actually, and as well part time, and one of the students there has autism, but he's a phenomenal piano player. It's very cool. He's
Well, and
very
that's
passionate.
a very interesting thing too, is, kids with autism have like huge memory recall, and they really, again, gravitate towards the medium of music because of
Mm,
this non-threatening language and just the format of music. And
right.
so a lot of kids can really excel in the music environment.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. Awesome. You mentioned earlier how the like sound of rhythm can like I guess encourage the brain to like I don't know how to say it.
Organize,
Yeah,
really.
organize and then
Mhm.
allow someone to actually like begin walking when they weren't able to before, which is incredible. Do you have any other I don't know, just like cool stories like similar to that where music has really like sort of reached parts of the brain that were thought to be sort of unreachable?
Yeah. Well, very much like working on walking and adding rhythms, you're essentially organizing the brain. So the brain starts to anticipate the beats of the music and da,
Oh,
da,
cool.
da, da. And it's almost like when you think about when you go down a set of stairs, your brain actually organizes the depth of each step. And after about the third or fourth one, it's kind of memorized the
Right.
distance, and that's why we don't need to think about it. And if someone's going to trip and fall, if every single step was a different depth and a different width than the other ones, that's harder for the brain to organize.
Right.
So that's the same thing when we're talking about teaching somebody with who's recovering from a stroke or who is Parkinson's, to have this consistent ability to put one foot in front of another. It's a rhythmic activity, really. When we walk down the
Hmm.
street, it's rhythmic. When we clap our hands, that's
Right.
rhythmic, right? People
Yeah.
don't clap sporadically, really fast and then slow. We clap at usually the same kind of speed.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that stimulate the brain to just organize itself into patterns. Another example was many years ago, there was a US, I think she was a senator named Gabby Giffords, and she actually was involved in a traumatic, violent episode where she was shot in the head,
Oh my.
and she completely lost her sense of speech. But prior to this traumatic experience happening, she was an avid lover of show tunes and Broadway hits.
Nice.
So the majority of her rehabilitation was done by a music therapist who worked on a technique. It's a very kind of a specialized music therapy technique called melodic intonation therapy.
Okay.
And the music therapist used because she knew these songs, they were familiar to her before. She had memorized all the lyrics, she knew the words, and she loved the music. So it was very motivating and familiar to her brain and body. uh, this music therapist used specific strategies within MIT, melodic intonation therapy, to get her to learn to speak again. And it was
Wow.
all done through singing. So they would sing phrases of these well known tunes that she loved. And then it slowly generalized over into the speaking voice.
Wow.
So now she's just as fluent and eloquent as she ever
That's
was
amazing.
as an individual. And all that rehab was really mostly done through music.
Wow. Because the songs are just like so deeply ingrained. Like,
Exactly.
wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Um,
Hmm.
one last question here. Are there any sort of common misconceptions about music therapy or anything you'd want people to know about music therapy? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of common misconceptions. One is some people will call it musical therapy as opposed to music therapy. Music therapy is a very it's a very established profession
Hmm.
in you know over 100 countries in the world for many, many, many decades. So a lot of people think that as music therapists, we're just entertainers.
Oh,
And
yeah.
although we can be entertaining, and music is certainly entertaining as an art form and engaging, there is real therapy and research that is behind it. Music therapists have to receive at least a bachelor's of music therapy. We have to sit for board certification exams
Oh, wow.
to become certified. There's a lot of there's a lot of training that goes into it. We have practicums, we have internships, we're taking medical courses, psychology courses,
Oh, wow.
disabling conditions of childhood and adulthood courses. So yeah, we're not just doing, sing-alongs or entertaining or being hired to do birthday parties. We're really and I think sometimes for the onlooker, it looks like we're just jamming and having a good time with clients and
Yeah.
making music, which is of course what we certainly are doing. However, we're intuiting different things. We're always observing the client, their physiological affect, their emotional affect. We're pacing, we're doing uh, session planning, right? We're being
Right.
very deliberate about everything all the choices that we're making to help support the individual, all the way from what key signature to the type of music to the
Oh, wow.
tempo
Yeah.
to how we speak with them.
Sure.
So everything is very deliberate, and even how we work with the music when we're improvising with the client. Which
Hmm.
instruments do we choose? If we've got, a client who maybe has cerebral palsy and has limited movement of their left arm or their left hand, we will do things that will, encourage that strength and ability in the left side of their body. But at the same time, we need to balance it out with the right, because that is
Right.
successful. And we want people to really, when people gain confidence and, self ability and their love for themselves, that they can um, make that leap to more challenging activities that
For
we can
sure.
help support with. So it's a balancing act oftentimes that
Yeah.
we do as music therapists.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for saying that, though. That's deserves to be said about how much intentionality is going into every aspect of what you're doing. I like what you said, that even like the tempo and the instruments matter. I didn't really think of it like that, but it makes
Yeah.
sense if someone is so if music means that much to somebody, then of course all those little things working together need to be nearly perfect for it to work how it needs to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Is there any last thing you might want to say about music therapy? I guess you sort of just did, but maybe about ET therapy. Is there anything you want to speak on?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested, if you've got a loved one, a child, a parent, a brother, a sister, anybody that you think you would like to explore a different avenue or an alternative type of therapy with them, you can check us out on our website. We have tons of different videos that really help demonstrate the understanding of what music therapy is. So you can go to etmusictherapy.com and check us out. And if you're interested, reach out to us. There's a contact us form that you can fill out, and we can set up a time to chat about your loved one or your friend and see if music therapy might be a good fit for them.
That's awesome. All right. I think we can even link it in we post on YouTube as well. So we could probably put a link to your site there at the bottom.
Sounds great. That would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome. Well, we are running out of time, but thanks so much for chatting with me today. It's been awesome. I definitely feel like I learned a bunch about what music therapy is.
Yeah, my pleasure, Noah. And thanks for all you're doing at VAMS.
Yeah, no problem. It's fun to think about how the two sort of complement each other in terms of reaching people who love music. So yeah, great. All right. Yeah, goodbye. And thank you very much again.
Thanks so much, Noah. Reach out anytime.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye-bye.